welcome back to Baytravels. And today I'm at Bagan. Yay, we're at Bagan. So I'm going to talk about some practical things about visiting Bagan. First of all, how to get into Bagan. So there are two main ways to go into Bagan. The first one is by van or shuttle bus. So I'm traveling in a big group, 6 persons, so it's easier for me to book a van from Mandalay to Bagan because there are plenty of international flights from Mandalay. So the cost of the van is about $150 US. But I probably got a little more expensive price because we traveled during the water festival and it was massive traffic jam because everywhere people keep throwing water and party, like literally doing a rave party in the street. And then the second way to go into Bagan is by flight. So there is a local flight to Nyang U, which we saw some other tourists took, but I didn't really do a lot of research about how much. That's another easier way to go into Bagan. There is a third option to go into Bagan if you're traveling alone. There's a public bus from Mandalay. It costs about 9,000 kyats or about $6 US. Okay, I have a mathematician behind the camera. So, how to get around in Bagan? The easier way again is to rent a bike or e-bike if you're comfortable. It's really easy to ride e-bike, so it's practically like a motorbike but it's electric, so there's a possibility for the bike to stop in the middle of the road, like what happened to us. But if you're traveling by bike, of course you can always go around, but it's tiring. Bagan is quite huge. You can also travel by tuk-tuk or there's a horse carriage or an electric tuk-tuk, I'm not very sure. So the e-bike costs $2 US for half day and about $4 US if it's full day. $3.5 US for a full day. Anyway, my math is not so good. But it's pretty affordable. The main thing to do in Bagan is mostly going around to see temples and pagodas and stupas. You can Google how to differentiate pagodas, stupas and temples. So basically right now, I think since 2016, tourists are not allowed to climb stupas or pagodas anymore because it basically disintegrates the stupas. But anyway, the main things besides going around to see temples are to see the sunrise and sunset, because they are known to be this beautiful, but anyways covered by clouds. You can still see the sunrise and stupas from the platforms. I will put some spots in the description below. But you can also befriend a local person or a local guide to bring you to some of the sunset spots or sunrise spots. At the end of my Bagan trip, and I will share some of the practical tips that I think will be useful for you guys if you're visiting Bagan. First of all, there are some restaurants that will provide the menu in US dollars, and if you are willing to pay in kyats, which is the local currency, the exchange rate will be unfavorable to you. So prepare some US dollars. We exchange a lot of kyats at the beginning, so at the end of the day we have to pay everything in kyats because we want to get rid of the kyats. So at the end of the day it was not a very good exchange rate for us. But of course there are also some local restaurants that serve good food that charge you in kyats. Normal decent foods will cost you about
5,000 kyats. If you go to the maybe higher end restaurants, it can go up to 7 or 8. But 4 or 5,000 can give you a decent meal. One bottle of Coke costs you about 500 kyats. And if you're going to Bagan in summer, you will need a lot of those. Number 2, where to stay at Bagan. So there are 3 main areas where you can find hotels. Number 1 is in Old Bagan, where all the temples are. So we are surrounded by the Old Bagan feeling. And you can also stay near the Irrawaddy River, which is the most famous river in Bagan. And the second place is in New Bagan. So New Bagan is about 15 minutes drive by e-bike from the Old Bagans, where you will explore the temples area. New Bagan is more like a very small town. There are a lot of restaurants, a lot of hotels, and hotels are typically cheaper too. You can also consider to stay in New Bagan because there are a lot of restaurants nearby. So I'm actually staying in Old Bagan. So every time I want to go out for dinner, I have to drive to New Bagan. It's not that far though, so if you're okay with commuting, then it's fine. The third place that you can consider is Nyang U. So Nyang U is a small town, more like village, where locals live. It's also where the airport is. I went to Nyang U for 1 day, and I honestly personally think that New Bagan would be a better choice than Nyang U, but there are also some hotels in Nyang U. Nyang U also about 15 to 20 minutes drive by e-bike from Old Bagan. So basically it's like Nyang U, Old Bagan and New Bagan. So Old Bagan will be in the middle. Another thing to consider if you want to visit Bagan is when to visit Bagan. So I didn't do a lot of research about this because I actually go to Bagan because I went to Bangkok for Songkran and I thought, oh, let's just go to another country. So then I visited Bagan in April. It turns out it's really, really hot. By saying really, really hot, trust me, I know what hot is, and this is really, really hot. In the afternoon, the temperature can go up to 42 degrees, and I'm pregnant. So imagine you are having hot flash in 42 degrees, humid environment. You're feeling like exploding. We spoke to some of the local people and they mentioned about the 3 seasons. So the better, cooler season would be around November to February. So it's their winter. It's about 20 to 15 degrees. So I think it would be perfect to explore the temples area. So now is starting summer, April, May, June. So it can go up to 42, 44 degrees. So you wouldn't want to go to temples in a hot, sunny day like this. So what we did is actually going fairly early in the morning, like sunrise time, up to 11 a.m. And then we go back to have lunch and rest. And then we go out again about 4 or 5 p.m. to go for a sunset. So that's the most practical things to do in summer. But maybe in the winter you can go for the whole day. Well, another thing that you need to do research about is the Bagan Archeological entrance fee. So we went into Bagan by a private van. So we didn't get asked to pay this entrance fee. But then I read a lot of entrance fee problem in the internet, and we actually encountered one when we visited Sri Saigon Temple in Nyang U, where they suddenly went to us and asked, you have to pay 25,000 kyats for entrance fee, and we were not very informed about that, so we refused to do it and we walked out again. But then we did some research and it turns out that it's kind of like a Bagan Pass. It's just like an Angkor Wat Pass. This is like a Bagan Pass for 5 days and you have to pay 25,000 kyats. I guess the last tips that I would like to give is maybe try to find a secret pagoda spot to get a good sunrise view or a sunset view, because some of those sunset spots that is listed in Google Maps are very crowded. We went to Sulemani Hills, that is this like man-made hill to view the sunset, but it was really, really crowded. Really, you can just find some of the local guide. It's like a local guide, so they are not really guide, but you can tip them or you can buy their paintings and maybe rent their bike. They will show you around, or some hidden spot to see sunrise and sunset. It's really worth it to just go and find this secluded place to watch the sunrise and sunset. It's basically what Bagan is famous for. One more tips that I also would like to give is when you visit the temples, just be mindful, be respectful, and have fun. I think that's all. If you have any question, I will try to answer. Just put some question in the comments below. So have fun in Bagan, stay safe and travel green. Bye!